Tonight, we drift far into the windswept plains of the medieval steppe. In this quiet journey through time, we won't race through dates or battles. Instead, we'll uncover the lesser-known side of Mongol life, the side historians rarely write about in textbooks. Not the glory, but the grit, the habits, the shocking customs, the things they did to survive, thrive, or simply endure. This is not a tale of conquest. It's a tale of human behavior under extreme conditions. From the scent of fermented horse milk, to the whisper of raw flesh between teeth, to the ways they bathed, or didn't. Each habit is real. Each one comes from historical records, many of which were buried, ignored, or quietly avoided. So, light a candle if you wish. Pull your blanket closer, and let us gently wander into, from urine to raw meat, 50 vile habits of Mongol life. Habit 1. No soap, no problem. Picture a Mongol warrior, his face weathered by wind and sun, his hands calloused from gripping a bow. His body, clad in furs and leather, carries the scent of the steppe itself. Soap. That was a luxury unknown to the Mongols. Water was scarce, precious, reserved for drinking or cooking. Bathing was a rarity. Instead, they embraced the dirt, the sweat, the grime of their daily lives. It coated their skin like a second layer, a badge of their endurance. Feel the texture of their world for a moment, the roughness of their unwashed hands as they grip a reins, the faint stickiness of sweat dried under the sun. To them, this was not filth. It was proof of their connection to the land, to their horses, to their survival. A warrior might ride for weeks, his body gathering the dust of 1,000 miles, and never once think to cleanse it. Why would he? The steppe didn't demand cleanliness. It demanded strength. Historical accounts from travelers, like the Persian chronicler Rashid al-Din, describe Mongol camps as places where the air was pungent. Men, women, and children alike carried the scent of their labor, their animals, their lives. To the Mongols, this was not a flaw. It was natural, practical. A life without soap was a life free from distraction, focused on conquest and survival. Can you imagine it? The feel of unwashed skin, the faint itch of dust settled into your hair. And yet, to them, it was nothing. Just the way of the steppe. Habit 2. Horse sweat as deodorant. Now, let's draw closer to the horses, the lifeblood of the Mongol Empire. Their steeds were more than transport. They were companions, brothers, extensions of the rider's own body. And their sweat. Oh, listener, it was more than just a smell. To the Mongols, it was a tool. Picture a warrior, dismounting after a long ride. His horse's flanks glisten with sweat, the air sharp with its musky scent. Instead of turning away, he leans in, scoops a handful of that dampness from the horse's coat, and rubs it onto his own skin, under his arms, across his chest. Why? Because horse sweat, to the Mongols, was a deodorant, a way to mask their own odor, to blend with their animals, to carry the strength of the horse into their own being. It sounds strange, doesn't it? But there was logic here. The Mongols believed the horse was sacred, its essence powerful. By wearing its sweat, they felt closer to its spirit, its endurance. And practically, it overpowered their own scent, a natural shield against the stench of unwashed bodies. Travelers like Marco Polo noted this practice with a mix of awe and disgust, describing warriors who smelled more of horse than human. Close your eyes. Imagine the warmth of a horse's flank under your hand, the slickness of its sweat between your fingers, the smell, sharp, animal, alive, clinging to your skin. To us, it's unthinkable. To the Mongols, it was power. Habit 3. Communal defecation fields. Imagine a vast field, just beyond the yurts, where the grass is slightly trampled, the air a little heavier. This was the Mongols' answer to a bathroom, the communal defecation field. No latrines, no pits, no privacy. Men, women, children, all would gather here, squatting side by side, sharing this moment as openly as they shared their meals or their stories. To us, it's shocking, the lack of seclusion, the exposure. But to the Mongols, privacy was a foreign concept. Their lives were communal, their survival tied to the group. Why hide something so natural? The fields were chosen for convenience, far enough from the camp to avoid fouling the living spaces, but close enough for safety. The waste would dry under the sun, be scattered by the wind, or be trampled by herds. Nature, in their eyes, took care of itself. Chinese envoys, visiting Mongol camps in the 13th century, wrote of their horror at this practice. They described fields where dozens squatted together, chatting or laughing as if at a feast. To the Mongols, this was no shame. It was life, raw and unfiltered. Picture it now. The cool grass beneath your feet, the open sky above, the murmur of voices around you. No walls, no barriers, just you, and the steppe, and the shared rhythm of existence. Habit 4. Using bones as toilet paper. Now, let's linger a moment longer in this field. You've done what nature demands, but there's no paper, no cloth, no water to clean yourself. What do you reach for? If you're a Mongol, you look to the ground and pick up a bone. A smooth, sun-bleached bone, perhaps from a sheep or a horse, worn by time and weather. Yes, listener, the Mongols used bones as their toilet paper. It was practical. Bones were abundant on the steppe, scattered from meals or hunts. They were smooth, sturdy, and reusable. A Mongol might carry a favorite bone, tucked into a pouch, or simply pick one up as needed. After use, it was discarded or cleaned for another day. Waste not, want not. This habit, recorded by travelers like William of Rubruck, a Franciscan missionary, baffled outsiders. To them, it was barbaric. To the Mongols, it was ingenious. Why waste precious cloth or water when the steppe provided? The bones were part of their world, as much a tool as a bow or a knife. Imagine the feel of it, the cool, hard surface of a bone in your hand, smoothed by years of wind and sand, the faint scrape against your skin, the practicality of it all. It's strange, yes, but to the Mongols, it was just another way to survive. Habit 5. Fresh horse blood for energy. Picture a Mongol warrior, his breath visible in the cold dawn air, his horse stamping restlessly beside him. The ride has been long, days, perhaps weeks, across the endless steppe. His stomach growls, but there's no time to stop, no fire to cook a meal. What does he do? He reaches for his knife, and with a steady hand, he nicks the vein of his horse's neck. A thin stream of warm, crimson blood flows. He leans forward, cupping his hands or pressing his lips to the wound, and drinks. The taste is metallic, warm, thick on the tongue. It coats his throat, filling him with a rush of energy, a pulse of life. To us, it's shocking, visceral, almost unthinkable. But to the Mongols, drinking fresh horse blood was a lifeline. Horses were their everything, transport, wealth, companions. Their blood was a quick, potent source of nourishment during grueling campaigns, when food was scarce and time was scarcer. Travelers like Marco Polo, who journeyed through Mongol lands in the 13th century, recorded this practice with a mix of fascination and horror. They described warriors sustaining themselves for days on blood alone, riding without pause. The horse, remarkably, was unharmed. A small cut, carefully made, would heal quickly, allowing the animal to continue its work. To the Mongols, this was not cruelty but partnership. a shared sacrifice between rider and steed. Imagine it now. The warmth of the horse's flank under your hand, the faint pulse of its life in the blood you drink. The smell, iron sharp, alive, filling your senses. It's raw, primal, a connection to the steppe itself. To the Mongols, this was not vile. It was strength. Habit 6. Urine as medicine. Now, let's linger a moment longer in this world of survival. The warrior wipes his mouth, the taste of blood still lingering, but now he turns to another remedy. One even stranger. Imagine a small leather pouch, its contents sloshing softly. Inside, urine, human or horse, collected with care. Why? Because to the Mongols, urine was not waste. It was medicine. Picture a wound, red and angry from battle, or a fever burning through a child in the camp. A shaman might reach for that pouch, pouring the liquid over the injury or offering it as a drink. The smell is sharp, acrid, stinging the nose. The taste, if swallowed, is bitter, warm, unpleasant to our modern palates. Yet the Mongols believed in its power. Urine, they thought, carried the essence of life, a sacred fluid blessed by the spirits. It could cleanse wounds, soothe fevers, or even ward off evil. This practice, noted by chroniclers like Rashid al-Din, was rooted in the Mongol shamanic beliefs and their practical need to use every resource. Water was scarce, but urine was abundant. Its use as a disinfectant, while surprising to us, aligns with some ancient medicinal practices. Urine's ammonia content could, in fact, kill bacteria. To the Mongols, this was not desperation but wisdom, a gift from the steppe. Close your eyes. Imagine the cool leather of the pouch in your hands, the faint warmth of its contents. The smell, sharp and undeniable, as it's poured over a wound. To us, it's repulsive. To the Mongols, it was healing. Habit 7. Eating raw meat under the saddle. Imagine a warrior, riding hard across the steppe, his horse's muscles rippling beneath him. Tucked under his saddle, pressed against the animal's warm flank, is a slab of raw meat, perhaps horse or mutton, fresh from the kill. As he rides, the meat softens, tenderized by the heat and motion, its juices mingling with the sweat of the horse. At the end of the day, he dismounts, lifts the saddle, and retrieves his meal. No fire, no spices, just the meat, warm, soft, and ready to eat. This habit, eating raw meat tenderized under the saddle, is one of the most enduring legends of Mongol life. Chroniclers like John of Plano Carpini, a 13th century missionary, described it vividly, noting how warriors could ride for days without stopping to cook. The meat, pounded by the rhythm of the ride, became soft enough to tear with teeth or hands. Its flavor was raw, gamey, laced with a faint saltiness of horse sweat. To the Mongols, this was not just convenience, it was efficiency. Cooking required time, fuel, and a halt in movement, all luxuries they couldn't afford during conquest. The saddle was their kitchen, the horse their chef. To us, the idea of eating meat warmed by an animal's body is unsettling, its texture slick and its smell earthy. But to the Mongols, it was sustenance, pure and simple. Picture it, the weight of the saddle lifted, the meat revealed, its surface glistening. You tear off a piece, the texture chewy, the taste wild. It's not a meal of comfort, but one of survival, forged in the heart of the steppe. Habit 8. Fermented milk with live bacteria. Now, let's turn to a different flavor of the Mongol kitchen. Picture a leather sack hanging outside a yurt, swaying gently in the breeze. Inside, mare's milk ferments, bubbling softly as it transforms into erag, the Mongols' beloved drink. It's sour, fizzy, slightly alcoholic, alive with bacteria that dance on the tongue. To drink it is to taste the steppe itself, tangy, sharp, and unmistakably wild. Erag was more than a beverage. It was a staple, a source of nourishment when meat was scarce. The Mongols milked their mares, poured the liquid into sacks, and let it ferment under the sun. The bacteria thrived, giving the drink its distinctive bite. Travelers like William of Rubruck described its taste as pungent, almost overwhelming, yet the Mongols drank it with relish, sharing it during feasts or rituals. To them, the live bacteria were not a flaw but a virtue, a sign of the drink's vitality. It strengthened them, they believed, binding them to their animals and the land. To us, the idea of sipping a fizzy, sour milk teeming with microbes might turn the stomach. But to the Mongols, it was life, bottled in leather. Imagine it now. The sack in your hands, its surface worn and smooth. You take a sip, the liquid cool yet sharp, fizzing against your lips. The smell is sour, almost cheesy, but to the Mongols, it was a taste of home. Habit 9. Storing food in animal intestines. Imagine a Mongol woman, her hands steady and practiced, kneeling beside the carcass of a freshly slaughtered sheep. Her knife moves with precision, slicing open the belly to reveal the glistening intestines. These are not discarded, oh no. They are cleaned, scraped, and turned inside out, the faint smell of the animal lingering despite the rinse of scarce water. Into these slick, stretchy tubes, she packs meat, milk, or even blood, tying the ends with sinew to create a sausage-like pouch. This is no mere meal. It's a storage system, a way to preserve food for the long journeys across the steppe. The texture of the intestine is smooth, almost rubbery, its surface cool to the touch, yet faintly warm from the animal's life. The smell is subtle but unmistakable, an earthy tang, a reminder of the beast it came from. To us, the idea of eating from such a vessel is unsettling, the thought of biting through the casing to reach the contents enough to make the stomach turn. But to the Mongols, this was genius. The intestines were natural, portable, and durable, keeping food fresh without the need for clay or metal. Travelers like Marco Polo, who traversed Mongol lands in the 1270s, noted this practice with a mix of awe and discomfort. They described warriors carrying these pouches, filled with meat or curdled milk, slung across their saddles. The Mongols saw no waste. Every part of the animal served a purpose, and the intestines were a gift from the steppe, as vital as the meat itself. Close your eyes. Feel the smooth, slightly tacky surface of the intestine in your hands, the weight of the food inside. You bite, and the casing yields, releasing a burst of flavor. Gamey, rich, alive. To the Mongols, this was not strange. It was sustenance, crafted from the heart of their world. Habit 10. Drinking from dried animal skulls. Now, let's move to the firelit center of the camp, where a warrior sits, his hands cradling a smooth, polished object. It's not a cup of wood or clay, but the skull of an animal, perhaps a horse or a ram, cleaned, dried, and shaped into a vessel. He raises it to his lips, sipping erag or broth, the liquid cool against the bone's hard surface. The skull is light, almost delicate, its curves worn smooth by hands and time. The faint scent of bone lingers, a whisper of the animal's spirit. To us, drinking from a skull might seem macabre, a relic of a horror tale. But to the Mongols, it was reverence. The animal was sacred, its life intertwined with their own, and using its skull honored that bond. These vessels were crafted with care, the bone polished until it gleamed, sometimes adorned with carvings to mark a family or a victory. They were passed down, cherished, used in feasts or rituals under the eternal sky. William of Rubruck, a 13th century missionary, described Mongol feasts where skull cups were raised in toasts, their contents glinting in the firelight. The practice was practical. Bone was abundant, durable, and lightweight, but also spiritual, a way to keep the animal's essence close. The taste of the drink was unchanged, but the act of drinking from a skull felt like a communion with the steppe itself. Imagine it, the skull in your hands, its surface cool and smooth, the faint echo of its former life under your fingers. You sip, and the liquid is sharp, alive, carrying the weight of tradition. To the Mongols, this was not grim. It was sacred. Habit 11. No bathing during war. Picture a Mongol warrior, his face streaked with dust and sweat, his furs heavy with the grime of weeks on campaign. The steppe is vast, the rivers few, and the enemy is near. Does he seek water to wash? No. He rides on, his body unwashed, his skin layered with the dirt of the journey. Bathing during war was not just impractical. It was forbidden. To the Mongols, water was sacred, a gift from the spirits, and to cleanse the body during battle was to wash away strength, to invite weakness. The smell of an unwashed warrior was potent. Sweat, horse, and earth mingled into a heavy, musky scent. His hair, matted with dust, clung to his scalp. His hands, rough with calluses, bore the stains of blood and grease. To us, this filth is unimaginable, a breeding ground for discomfort. But to the Mongols, it was a badge of honor. The grime was proof of their endurance, their focus on conquest over comfort. Bathing could wait until victory was secured, when the spirits allowed. Chroniclers like Rashid al-Din, writing in the 14th century, noted this custom, describing armies that rode for months without washing, their bodies a testament to their resolve. The Mongols believed that dirt protected them, a shield against both the elements and spiritual harm. To wash was to risk losing the steppe's blessing. Imagine it, the weight of unwashed furs on your shoulders, the itch of dust on your skin, the scent of sweat filling your nose. To us, it's unbearable. To the Mongols, it was power, a mark of their unbreakable spirit. Habit 12. Nail cutting once a month, by ritual. Now, let's sit by the fire, where a Mongol family gathers under the moonlight. The night is still, the sky a canvas of stars. Once a month, guided by the lunar cycle, they perform a quiet ritual. A small blade glints in the firelight, passed from hand to hand. Each person cuts their nails, carefully, deliberately, the clippings collected in a small cloth. The act is not mundane but sacred, tied to the rhythms of the steppe and the spirits that govern it. The nails, grown long from a month of riding and work, are brittle, caked with dirt. The blade's edge is sharp, its scrape against the nail a soft, rhythmic sound. To us, cutting nails might be a simple task, done without thought. But to the Mongols, it was a ceremony, a moment to honor the body and the eternal sky. The clippings were not discarded carelessly. They were buried or burned, an offering to the spirits, ensuring protection and balance. Travelers like John of Plano Carpini, who observed Mongol life in the 1240s, described these rituals with curiosity, noting their connection to shamanic beliefs. The Mongols saw the body as part of the natural world, its care a dialogue with the divine. Cutting nails by the moon's light was not just hygiene. It was a way to align with the cosmos. Picture it, the cool blade in your hand, the soft snap of a nail falling away, the fire's warmth on your face. The clippings, small and fragile, are gathered with care, a quiet offering to the steppe. To the Mongols, this was not routine. It was reverence. Habit 13. Drinking blood in brotherhood rituals. Imagine a circle of warriors, their faces shadowed by firelight, their hands stained with the dust of battle. A horse stands nearby, its breath steaming in the cold night air. A shaman steps forward, his knife gleaming as he makes a small cut on the animal's flank. Warm blood flows into a polished skull cup, its crimson surface catching the flame's glow. The warriors pass the cup, each taking a sip, the metallic taste sharp on their tongues, binding them as brothers in blood. To us, drinking blood in a ritual might seem barbaric, a scene from a grim tale. But to the Mongols, it was sacred, a vow of loyalty sealed with the life of their most cherished companion, the horse. This act, often performed before battles or to cement alliances, was a pact with the eternal sky, the spirits, and each other. The blood's warmth, its iron tang, was a reminder of their shared strength, their shared survival. Chroniclers like Rashid al-Din, writing in the 14th century, described these brotherhood rituals, noting how blood-drinking forged bonds stronger than words. The horse, central to Mongol life, was the perfect vessel for this oath, its blood a symbol of endurance and unity. The cup's smooth bone, the liquid's faint saltiness, made the act both practical and profound. Close your eyes. Feel the skull cup in your hands, its surface cool yet heavy with meaning. The blood is warm, its scent sharp and alive. You drink, and it's not just a ritual. It's a promise, sealed on the steppe. Habit 14. Boiling bones for the marrow. Now, let's linger by the fire, where a pot simmers, its contents bubbling softly. Inside, bones, horse, sheep, or yak, are boiling, their surfaces cracked to release the rich marrow within. A Mongol woman stirs the pot, the steam carrying a fatty, earthy aroma that fills the air. When the bones are ready, they're lifted out, split open with a knife, and the marrow is scooped, warm and glistening, to be eaten with relish. The marrow's texture is creamy, almost buttery, melting on the tongue with a deep, savory flavor. To us, it might seem heavy, the idea of eating straight from the bone a bit primal. But to the Mongols, marrow was a treasure, a source of strength drawn from the animal's core. Boiling bones was a way to extract every bit of nourishment, especially in lean times when meat was scarce. Travelers like Marco Polo, who journeyed through Mongol lands in the 1270s, noted this practice, describing feasts where marrow was prized as a delicacy. The bones were not wasted. After the marrow was eaten, they were used as tools or fuel. This was the steppe's economy. Nothing discarded, everything revered. Imagine it, the warmth of the bone in your hands, the marrow's rich scent rising from the split surface. You scoop a portion, its warmth spreading through you. To the Mongols, this was not just food, it was life, drawn from the heart of the steppe. Habit 15. Letting sweat prove masculinity. Picture a Mongol warrior, his chest broad, his furs heavy with the dust of the steppe. He's ridden for days, his skin glistening with sweat, the musky scent rising from his body like a banner. He does not wash it away. To the Mongols, sweat was not a mark of filth, but a symbol of masculinity, a sign of endurance and strength. A warrior's odor was his story, each bead of sweat a mile ridden, a battle fought, a victory claimed. The smell was potent, a mix of salt, leather, and earth, clinging to his hair and clothes. To us, it's overwhelming, a reason to seek water and soap. But to the Mongols, it was pride. A clean warrior was a weak one, untested by the steppe's trials. Sweat was a badge, worn openly, its presence reassuring allies and intimidating foes. Chroniclers like William of Rubruck, who travelled among the Mongols in the 1250s, noted their unwashed state, describing camps where the air was thick with the scent of unbathed bodies. This was not neglect but a cultural choice, tied to their belief that strength was proven through endurance, not cleanliness. Imagine it, the heat of your own body, the sweat drying on your skin, its scent sharp and unapologetic. You stand taller, knowing it marks you as a warrior. To the Mongols, this was not stench, it was power, etched into their very being. Habit 16. Re-wearing clothes until they rotted. Now, let's look at the warrior's attire, furs and leather, patched and worn, hanging heavy on his frame. These clothes are not changed daily or even monthly. They are worn until they fray, until the seams split, until the fabric itself begins to rot. The smell is intense, sweat-soaked leather, dust, and the faint decay of animal hide. To us, it's unthinkable, a garment crumbling under its own filth. But to the Mongols, this was practicality, a life without waste. Clothes were precious on the steppe, made from the hides of their animals, sewn with sinew. Washing them was rare. Water was for drinking, not laundering. Instead, they wore their garments until they could no longer hold together, each stain and tear a mark of their journey. The fabric's texture grew stiff, crusted with grime, yet it was a second skin, as vital as their own. John of Plano Carpini, a missionary in the 1240s, described Mongol clothing as worn until it falls apart, marveling at their indifference to its state. To the Mongols, this was not neglect but efficiency, a focus on survival over appearance. Picture it: the heavy fur on your shoulders, its surface rough with dirt, its smell a mix of animal and earth. It clings to you, a testament to your life on the steppe. To the Mongols, this was not filth, it was endurance. Habit 17. Eating enemy flesh, occasionally. Picture a Mongol warrior, his face streaked with sweat and dust, standing over a fallen foe. The battle is won, the steppe silent save for the wind. In rare moments, driven by desperation or ritual, he kneels, his knife slicing into the enemy's flesh. A small piece is cut, perhaps roasted over a fire, perhaps eaten raw. The taste is gamey, unfamiliar, heavy with the weight of what it means. To us, this act is horrifying, a taboo beyond comprehension. But to the Mongols, in extreme moments, it was survival, or a way to claim an enemy's strength. This practice was not common, but it occurred in times of starvation or as a symbolic act to absorb an opponent's power. Chroniclers like Marco Polo, writing in the 1270s, mention such acts with shock, noting they were rare but deliberate, often tied to shamanic beliefs. The Mongols saw the body as part of the natural cycle. Flesh was flesh, whether animal or human, and in the steppe's harsh embrace, nothing was wasted. The texture was tough, the smell metallic and raw, lingering in the air like a challenge. To the Mongols, this was not savagery but necessity, a way to survive or honor the fallen by taking their essence. It was a fleeting practice, but one that marked their unbreakable will. Imagine it: the fire's heat on your face, the flesh's weight in your hand, its scent sharp and unsettling. You eat, and it's not just food, it's survival, a claim to power. To the Mongols, this was not horror, it was the steppe's demand. Habit 18. Offering blood to ancestors. Now, let's move to a quieter moment, away from the battlefield, to a yurt where a shaman stands, a bowl in his hands. The air is thick with the scent of smoke and blood. A small cut is made on a horse or sheep, and blood drips into the bowl, its surface dark and shimmering. The shaman raises it to the sky, chanting softly, offering the blood to the ancestors, to the eternal spirits of the steppe. The liquid is poured onto the earth or sprinkled into the fire, its iron scent rising with the smoke. To us, this might seem gruesome, a wasteful act of sacrifice. But to the Mongols, blood was life, a sacred offering to honor those who came before. It connected the living to the dead, the present to the eternal. The ritual was a prayer, a way to seek guidance or protection, rooted in their shamanic faith. Rashid al-Din, in the 14th century, described these offerings, noting how blood was seen as a bridge to the spirit world. The act was deliberate, the blood's warmth a symbol of vitality, its sacrifice a gift to ensure the clan's survival. Picture it: the bowl in your hands, the blood's warmth seeping through, its scent sharp and alive. You offer it to the sky, and it's not just a ritual, it's a connection to the past. To the Mongols, this was not waste, it was reverence. Habit 21. Sharing toothpicks. Imagine a Mongol feast, the fire casting shadows on faces as bowls of boiled meat and erag pass from hand to hand. After eating, a warrior reaches for a small, whittled stick, smooth, worn from use. He picks his teeth, the faint scrape audible in the quiet, then passes the stick to the person beside him. No one hesitates. The toothpick moves around the circle, shared by all, its surface slick with use. To us, this is unthinkable, a vessel for germs and discomfort. But to the Mongols, it was natural, a sign of trust and unity. The toothpick, often carved from bone or wood, was a precious tool on the steppe, where resources were scarce. Sharing it was practical. No need for each person to carry their own. The act was intimate, a reflection of their communal life, where personal boundaries were fluid. The stick's texture was smooth, its faint taste of meat lingering, a reminder of the meal just shared. Travelers like William of Rubruck, who visited Mongol camps in the 1250s, noted this practice with unease, describing shared tools as common but shocking to outsiders. To the Mongols, it was not unclean but efficient, a small act of togetherness in a harsh world. Close your eyes. Feel the toothpick in your hand, its surface cool and worn. You pass it to another, and it's not just a tool. It's a bond, a shared moment under the steppe sky. To the Mongols, this was not strange. It was family. Habit 22. Chewing food for the elderly. Now, picture an elder sitting by the fire, their face lined with years of survival, their teeth worn or gone. A younger Mongol kneels beside them, chewing a piece of tough meat or dried curd, softening it with care. The food, now mushy and warm, is passed to the elder's mouth, a quiet act of respect. The texture is sticky, the taste earthy and slightly sour. To us, this might seem repulsive, an invasion of personal space. But to the Mongols, it was love, a way to honor those who could no longer chew. This practice was born of necessity. Elders were vital, their wisdom guiding the clan, but age weakened their bodies. Chewing for them ensured they were nourished, their place in the community secure. The act was intimate, the chewer's saliva mixing with the food, yet it was seen as pure, a gift of life. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, described this custom with fascination, noting how Mongols cared for their elderly with unwavering devotion. The steppe demanded strength, but also compassion, and this habit embodied both. Imagine it, the meat in your mouth, its fibers softening under your teeth, the warmth of the fire on your face. You pass the food, and it's not just sustenance, it's respect, a tie to your kin. To the Mongols, this was not odd, it was duty. Habit 23. Letting lice roam freely. Picture a Mongol child, their hair matted with dust, scratching at their scalp. Beneath the strands, lice crawl freely, their tiny bodies leaving an itch that's as constant as the wind. The Mongols did not comb them out or wash them away. Instead, they let the lice live, their presence accepted as part of life on the steppe. The sensation was prickly, the scalp tender, the faint sound of scratching a background hum in the camp. To us, this is a nightmare, a source of infection and discomfort. But to the Mongols, it was simply nature. Lice were everywhere, on bodies, in furs, in the close quarters of yurts. Washing was rare, and water too precious to waste on such tasks. The Mongols saw lice as a fact of life, not a mark of shame. Some even believed they carried spiritual significance, a sign of vitality or a test of endurance. The itch was a reminder of their connection to the raw, unfiltered world. John of Plano Carpini, in the 1240s, described Mongol camps as teeming with lice, noting their indifference to the pests. To them, it was not filth but a natural state, as unremarkable as the grass underfoot. Imagine it, the faint tickle on your scalp, the urge to scratch, the knowledge that the lice are part of you. To the Mongols, this was not a burden. It was the steppe's embrace, a sign of life. Habit 24. Belief that bathing invited evil spirits. Now, imagine a Mongol shaman, standing by a river's edge, warning the camp against its waters. The air is cool, the water's surface glinting, but to bathe is to risk danger, not just from the cold, but from spirits. The Mongols believed that washing the body, especially during sacred times or campaigns, could invite evil spirits, stripping away the protection of the eternal sky. The skin remained unwashed, coated in sweat and dust, its scent heavy and earthy. To us, this seems a recipe for disease. But to the Mongols, it was a shield of faith. This belief was rooted in their shamanic worldview, where water was sacred but dangerous, a realm of spirits that could harm the unwary. Bathing was avoided during rituals or war, preserving the body's natural state as a barrier against malevolent forces. Rashid al-Din, in the 14th century, noted this aversion to bathing, describing how Mongols saw cleanliness as a spiritual risk. The dirt on their skin was not filth but a layer of strength, blessed by the steppe. Picture it, the river before you, its waters tempting but forbidden. Your skin itches, but you stand firm, trusting the spirits. To the Mongols, this was not ignorance. It was faith, woven into their survival. Habit 25. Disposing of corpses with no burial. Imagine a Mongol camp, quiet after a loss. A warrior has fallen, not in battle, but to age or illness. There's no grave dug, no stone to mark the place. Instead, the body is carried to a remote hill, laid upon the grass, and left to the elements. The wind whispers over the corpse, birds circle above, and the steppe claims it. To us, this is shocking, a lack of reverence for the dead. But to the Mongols, it was a return to the eternal sky, a gift to the land that sustained them. Burial was impractical for nomads, who moved constantly, leaving no trace. Leaving bodies exposed was a way to honor the cycle of life, letting nature reclaim what it gave. The smell of decay, faint at first, was part of this process, not to be feared but accepted. William of Rubruck, in the 1250s, described this practice, noting how Mongols left their dead to the sky, believing their spirits ascended to join the ancestors. It was not neglect, but a spiritual act, rooted in their faith. Close your eyes. See the body on the hill, the grass swaying around it, the scent of earth rising. It's not abandonment, it's a return, a cycle completed. To the Mongols, this was not loss, it was eternity. Habit 26. Letting dogs clean leftovers. Now, picture the camp after a feast. Bones and scraps scattered near the fire. A pack of dogs, lean and loyal, moves in, their teeth crunching through the remains. The Mongols do not shoo them away or bury the waste. They let the dogs eat. Their growls and snaps a familiar sound in the camp. The smell of meat lingers, mixing with the dog's musky scent. To us, this might seem unsanitary, a risk of disease. But to the Mongols, it was practical, a natural way to clean the camp. Dogs were valued companions, guarding the herds and sharing the Mongols' lives. Letting them eat leftovers ensured nothing was wasted, and the camp stayed clear of rotting scraps. The dogs' teeth left bones clean, ready for other uses, like tools or fuel. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, noted this reliance on dogs, describing how they played a vital role in the Mongols' nomadic life. It was a symbiotic relationship, each benefiting the other in the steppe's harsh embrace. Imagine it, the dogs at work, the crunch of bone, the faint smell of meat fading. It's not chaos, it's order, a balance with the land. To the Mongols, this was not waste, it was harmony. Habit 27. Enjoying rotten meat. Picture a Mongol warrior, unpacking a leather pouch from his saddle. Inside is meat, days or weeks old, its surface darkened, its smell pungent and sharp. He slices a piece, the texture soft and slick, and eats it with relish. The flavor is intense, sour, almost tangy, with a depth that bites the tongue. To us, rotten meat is a danger, a source of sickness. But to the Mongols, it was a delicacy, a way to savor the steppe's gifts even as they aged. Rotting meat was not wasted on the steppe. where food was precious. The Mongols understood that decay could enhance flavor, and their bodies, hardened by their diet, tolerated what we might not. The meat's smell, heavy with fermentation, was a sign of readiness, not ruin. John of Plano Carpini, in the 1240s, described this practice with horror, noting how Mongols ate meat that seemed spoiled yet suffered no ill effects. It was a testament to their resilience, their adaptation to the steppe's demands. Imagine it, the meat in your hand, its surface tacky, its scent strong and wild. You bite, and the flavor floods your senses, raw and alive. To the Mongols, this was not decay, it was a gift of the land. Habit 28. Eating molds for immunity. Now, let's look at a different dish. A chunk of curd or cheese, left to age in a leather sack. Its surface is dusted with green and grey molds, fuzzy and alive, the smell sharp and earthy, like damp soil. A Mongol takes a piece, the mold's texture gritty on the tongue, its taste bitter yet strangely rich. To us, eating mold is a risk, a step toward illness. But to the Mongols, it was medicine, a way to strengthen the body against the steppe's harshness. Moldy foods, especially fermented dairy, were valued for their supposed health benefits. The Mongols believed these living cultures fortified them, warding off disease in a world without doctors. Modern science might agree, noting the probiotic potential of such foods, but to the Mongols, it was instinct, a trust in the steppe's wisdom. Rashid al-Din, in the 14th century, mentioned the Mongols' fondness for aged dairy, describing how they ate molds without fear. It was a practice of survival, turning decay into strength. Picture it, the cheese in your hand, its surface alive with mold, its scent sharp and wild. You taste it, and it's not just food, it's resilience, a shield against the steppe. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was life. Habit 29. Sleeping in shared yurts. Imagine a yurt at night, filled with the warmth of bodies and the scent of wool and smoke. Entire families, parents, children, elders, sleep together on furs spread across the floor. The air is heavy, thick with a musky smell of unwashed skin and the faint tang of animal hides. There are no partitions, no private corners. Breaths mingle, snores echo, and the rustle of movement is constant. To us, this lack of privacy feels stifling, a challenge to personal space. But to the Mongols, it was unity, a shared warmth that bound the clan. The yurt was a microcosm of their world, where survival depended on togetherness. Sleeping so close conserved heat in the steppe's bitter nights, and the shared space fostered trust. The furs were soft but heavy, their scent a mix of animal and earth, a reminder of the steppe's gifts. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, described Mongol yurts as crowded yet harmonious, noting how families lived without separation. It was not chaos but order, a reflection of their communal strength. Close your eyes. Feel the fur beneath you, the warmth of others nearby, their breaths a soft rhythm. It's not confinement, it's connection, a heartbeat of the camp. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was home. Habit 30. Nursing from mares. Now, picture a Mongol mother, her infant cradled in her arms, near a mare tethered outside the yurt. When her milk runs low or the child needs more, she approaches the mare, gently milking its udder into a small bowl. The milk is warm, slightly sweet, with a grassy undertone. She offers it to the child, or, in rare moments, nurses directly from the mare. To us, this act is shocking, a blurring of human and animal. But to the Mongols, it was natural, a gift from their most sacred companion. Mare's milk was a staple, rich in nutrients and abundant on the steppe. In times of scarcity, it sustained both adults and children, its warmth a lifeline. The act was practical, but also spiritual, tying the family to the horse and the eternal sky. William of Rubruck, in the 1250s, noted this practice with surprise, describing how Mongols used mare's milk for nourishment across generations. It was a bond, not a boundary, between human and animal. Imagine it, the mare's warmth under your hand, the milk's faint sweetness on your tongue. It's not strange, it's survival, a tie to the steppe. To the Mongols, this was not odd, it was life. Habit 31. Wearing furs until they disintegrated. Picture a Mongol warrior, his fur coat patched and stained, its surface rough with years of dust and sweat. He wears it through blistering summers and freezing winters, never washing it, never replacing it until it crumbles. The smell is heavy, leather, sweat, and the faint decay of animal hide. The texture is stiff, crusted with grime, yet it molds to his body like armor. To us, this is unthinkable, a garment rotting on the wearer. But to the Mongols, it was a badge of resilience, a testament to their life on the move. Furs were precious, crafted from the animals that sustained them. Washing them risked damage, and water was too scarce for such tasks. Each stain, each tear, was a chapter of their journey, worn with pride. John of Plano Carpini, in the 1240s, described Mongol clothing as enduring years of use, noting their indifference to its state. It was not neglect but necessity, a focus on function over appearance. Imagine it, the fur heavy on your shoulders, its scent earthy and raw, its surface a map of your travels. It's not filth, it's history, carried on your back. To the Mongols, this was not decay, it was strength. Habit 32. Using grease to preserve leather. Now, picture a Mongol woman, her hands slick with animal fat, rubbing it into a leather tunic. The grease glistens, its smell rich and gamey, sinking into the leather to keep it supple. The tunic, unwashed, grows darker with each application, its surface oily yet durable. To us, this greasy coating seems repulsive, a magnet for dirt. But to the Mongols, it was essential, a way to protect their clothing from the steppe's harsh sun and biting cold. Leather was vital, used for clothes, boots, and saddles, and grease preserved it, extending its life. The process was messy, the hands sticky, the scent clinging to the air, but it ensured survival in a world without spares. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, noted this practice, describing how Mongols maintained their gear with care, using fat as both sealant and softener. It was a craft, born of the steppe's demands. Close your eyes. Feel the grease under your fingers, its warmth spreading into the leather, its scent sharp and animal. It's not mess, it's care, a shield for the steppe. To the Mongols, this was not grime, it was survival. Habit 33. Crafting with unwashed hands. Imagine a Mongol artisan, their hands rough and stained, kneading dough or stitching leather. The dirt under their nails, the grease on their palms, mingles with the materials they shape. The bread carries a faint earthy taste, the leather a trace of sweat. To us, this is unsanitary, a risk of contamination. But to the Mongols, it was life. Hands that worked were hands that lived, their dirt a sign of their connection to the steppe. Washing hands was rare. Water was for drinking or rituals, not cleaning. Their hands, toughened by years of labor, were tools of survival, crafting everything from yurts to weapons. The grime was not a flaw, but a mark of their toil. William of Rubruck, in the 1250s, described Mongol artisans working with hands blackened by dirt. Yet their creations were precise, essential to the camp's survival. It was skill, not cleanliness, that mattered. Picture it. Your hands, rough and stained, shaping leather, the scent of earth and sweat blending with your work. It's not filth, it's craft, a testament to your strength. To the Mongols, this was not unclean, it was creation. Habit 34. Eating with bare, dirty hands. Now, picture a Mongol feast. Warriors gathered around a steaming pot. They reach in with bare hands, fingers caked with dust and grease from riding or skinning. They tear at the meat, its juices mixing with the dirt on their skin, the flavor earthy and raw. To us, this is shocking, a breeding ground for germs. But to the Mongols, it was natural. Hands were their utensils, and the steppe's dirt was part of the meal. Eating with unwashed hands was practical. Forks and spoons were unknown, and washing was a luxury. The dirt added a faint grit to the food, a taste of the land they lived on, and they ate without hesitation. John of Plano Carpini, in the 1240s, noted this habit, describing how Mongols ate with hands soiled from their tasks, yet thrived. It was a reflection of their resilience. Their bodies adapted to their world. Imagine it, your fingers in the warm meat, the grit of dirt blending with its flavor, the fire's glow on your face. It's not unclean, it's life, shared with the steppe. To the Mongols, this was not filth, it was sustenance. Habit 35. Avoiding water for spiritual protection. Picture a Mongol warrior, his face streaked with dust, standing by a stream. He does not dip his hands or face into the water, though it sparkles invitingly. To wash, he believes, is to invite misfortune, to anger the spirits that dwell in the water. His skin remains layered with sweat and earth, its scent heavy and musky. To us, this is a health risk, a rejection of hygiene. But to the Mongols, it was a shield, a way to stay blessed by the eternal sky. This belief was rooted in their shamanic faith, where water was a sacred force, not to be disturbed lightly. Washing, especially during rituals or campaigns, could weaken the body's spiritual armor, leaving it vulnerable to harm. Rashid al-Din, in the 14th century, described this aversion, noting how Mongols avoided bathing to preserve their strength. The dirt on their skin was a sacred layer, a connection to the steppe's power. Close your eyes. Feel the itch of dust on your skin, the temptation of the water before you, yet you stand firm. It's not neglect, it's faith, a bond with the spirits. To the Mongols, this was not filth, it was protection. Habit 36. Spitting to clean wounds. Now, imagine a Mongol warrior, his arm gashed from battle, blood trickling down his skin. Instead of seeking water, he leans forward, spitting onto the wound. The saliva, warm and slightly sticky, mixes with the blood, its faint saltiness stinging the cut. He rubs it in, believing it cleanses and heals. To us, this is horrifying, a risk of infection. But to the Mongols, saliva was a gift of the body, a natural remedy blessed by the spirits. This practice was born of necessity. Water was scarce, and saliva was always available. The Mongols believed it carried healing properties, a belief echoed in other ancient cultures. The act was quick, the spit's warmth a small comfort in the pain. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, noted this habit, describing how Mongols used saliva to treat wounds when no other means were at hand. It was a practical, spiritual act, rooted in their trust in the body's power. Picture it, the wound stinging under your spit, its warmth soothing, its scent faint but alive. It's not crude, it's healing, a gift from within. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was medicine. Habit 37. Chewing bones to clean teeth. Imagine a Mongol warrior, finishing a meal of boiled meat, picking up a bone from the fire. He bites into it, not for marrow, but to clean his teeth. The bone's hard surface scrapes against enamel, grinding away bits of meat and grime. The texture is rough, the sound a faint crunch, the taste faintly salty and earthy. To us, this seems painful, a risk to teeth and gums. But to the Mongols, it was a natural toothbrush, a way to keep their mouths clean without water or tools. Bones were abundant, and chewing them was a practical way to maintain oral health in a world without dentistry. The scraping action removed debris, and the bone's minerals may have even strengthened enamel. though the practice was not without risk. William of Rubruck, in the 1250s, described Mongols chewing bones after meals, noting their strong teeth despite their rugged diet. It was a habit born of the steppe, where every resource served multiple purposes. Close your eyes. Feel the bone's hardness against your teeth, the faint grit as it cleans, the taste of earth lingering. It's not harsh, it's care, a rhythm of survival. To the Mongols, this was not crude, it was necessity. Habit 38. Pulling teeth with pliers. Now, picture a Mongol shaman, a pair of crude pliers in hand, standing over a warrior with a grimace of pain. A tooth, rotten or broken, must be removed. No numbing, no medicine, just the cold metal gripping the tooth, the sharp tug, and the wet pop as it comes free. The pain is sharp, the taste of blood flooding the mouth, its metallic scent mixing with the fire's smoke. To us, this is barbaric, a nightmare of pain. But to the Mongols, it was survival, a way to end suffering and keep the warrior strong. Teeth were vital for eating the steppe's tough foods, and a bad tooth could weaken a fighter. Pliers, often used for crafting, doubled as dental tools, their grip firm but unforgiving. The act was quick, the pain fleeting compared to the relief. John of Plano Carpini, in the 1240s, described Mongol dental practices, noting their use of simple tools to extract teeth, often with shamanic blessings to ease the pain. It was a blend of practicality and faith. Imagine it, the pliers' cold grip, the sharp pain, the blood's warmth on your tongue. It's not torture, it's healing, a step towards strength. To the Mongols, this was not brutal, it was life. Habit 39. Burning animal fat as offering. Picture a Mongol shaman, standing before a fire, a piece of animal fat in hand. The fat, glistening and white, is tossed into the flames, sizzling as it melts. The air fills with a thick, greasy scent, heavy and rich, curling upward with the smoke. The fire flares, its crackle loud, as the offering rises to the spirits. To us, this might seem wasteful, the smell overpowering. But to the Mongols, it was a gift, a sacred act to honor the sky and ensure protection. Fat was precious, a source of energy, yet it was offered freely in rituals. Its burning released a scent believed to please the spirits, a bridge between earth and sky. The act was deliberate, the smoke a prayer made visible. Rashid al-Din, in the 14th century, described these offerings, noting how Mongols used fat to commune with their gods. The smell, to them, was not foul but holy, a sign of their devotion. Close your eyes. Smell the fat's rich aroma, feel the fire's warmth, see the smoke rising. It's not waste, it's worship, a gift to the eternal. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was sacred. Habit 40. Sprinkling blood on sacred sites. Now, imagine a Mongol rider, pausing at a sacred hill, a bowl of blood in hand. The blood, drawn from a horse or sheep, is warm, its iron scent sharp in the crisp air. He sprinkles it onto the earth or stones, the red droplets glistening under the sun. The act is quiet, reverent, a prayer for guidance or thanks. To us, this might seem gruesome, a stain on the land, but to the Mongols, it was a blessing, a way to honor the spirits that guarded their path. Blood was life, and offering it to sacred sites, hills, rivers, or stones, was a way to connect with the divine. The smell, metallic and raw, was a reminder of the steppe's pulse. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, described these rituals, noting how Mongols marked their sacred places with blood, believing it strengthened their bond with the spirits. It was a practice of faith, not violence. Picture it, the bowl in your hands, the blood's warmth, its scent rising as you sprinkle it. It's not grim, it's reverence, a tie to the eternal sky. To the Mongols, this was not waste, it was worship. Habit 41. using urine to mark territory. Imagine a Mongol rider, pausing on a hill, his horse snorting in the crisp air. He dismounts, kneels, and releases a stream of urine onto the earth, its sharp, acrid scent rising in the wind. The act is deliberate, marking the land as his clan's, a signal to others. To us, this is shocking, a primitive act of ownership. But to the Mongols, it was practical, a natural way to claim grazing grounds or warn off rivals in a world without fences. Urine, warm and pungent, was a resource on the steppe, its scent carrying far to animals and humans alike. It was a boundary, a message etched in the earth, as vital as any flag. The smell lingered, mixing with the grass, a reminder of presence and power. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, noted this practice, describing how Mongols used bodily markers to define their territories. It was not crude but strategic, a way to navigate the vast, open steppe. Close your eyes. Feel the earth beneath you, the sharp scent of urine in the air, marking your place. It's not filth, it's ownership, a bond with the land. To the Mongols, this was not strange. It was dominion. Habit 42. Smearing blood on horses for bonding. Now, picture a Mongol warrior, his hand stained red from a fresh cut on his palm. He presses it against his horse's flank, the blood warm and sticky, its metallic scent mingling with the animal's musk. The horse snorts but stands still, accepting the bond. To us, this act is unsettling, a mix of blood and beast. But to the Mongols, it was sacred, a ritual to unite rider and horse, their spirits intertwined for battle or journey. Blood was life, and sharing it with a horse strengthened their connection, ensuring loyalty on the steppe. The act was both practical and spiritual, sealing a partnership that defined their survival. William of Rubruck, in the 1250s, described such rituals, noting how Mongols revered their horses as kin, their blood a pact under the eternal sky. It was a moment of unity, not violence. Imagine it, the blood on your hand, warm against the horse's coat, its scent sharp and alive. It's not grim, it's a vow, a tie to your companion. To the Mongols, this was not odd, it was kinship. Habit 43. Sleeping with livestock for warmth. Picture a Mongol family, huddled in their yurt on a freezing night, the wind howling outside. Beside them, a small lamb or calf lies on the furs, its body warm, its breath a soft puff in the cold air. The animal's musky scent mixes with the yurt's smoky air, its woolly texture a comfort against their skin. To us, sleeping with livestock is unhygienic, a source of dirt and disease. But to the Mongols, it was survival, the animal's heat a lifeline in the steppe's bitter cold. Animals were family, their warmth shared to endure harsh winters. The yurt was a shared space, where humans and beasts coexisted, their lives interwoven. The practice conserved heat and strengthened the bond between clan and herd. John of Plano Carpini, in the 1240s, described Mongols sleeping alongside their animals, noting their reliance on this closeness for survival. It was not filth but necessity, a harmony with their world. Close your eyes. Feel the animal's warmth beside you, its scent earthy and familiar, its breath a soft rhythm. It's not unclean, it's comfort, a shared life. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was warmth. Habit 44. Using animal dung for fuel. Now, imagine a Mongol woman, gathering dried dung from the steppe, her hands rough with dust. She stacks it by the fire, its faint, earthy smell rising as it burns. The flames crackle, the smoke thick and pungent, warming the yurt. To us, burning dung is repulsive, its odor acrid and foul. But to the Mongols, it was essential. Wood was scarce, and dung was abundant, a gift from their herds that kept the fire alive. The dung, dry and crumbly, burned steadily, its heat sustaining the camp through long nights. The smell, though strong, was a sign of resourcefulness, turning waste into warmth. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, noted this practice, describing how Mongols used dung as fuel with no hesitation. It was a practical choice, a testament to their ability to thrive in scarcity. Picture it, the dung in your hands, its texture dry and light, its smoke curling upward. It's not foul, it's fire, a gift from the herd. To the Mongols, this was not waste, it was life. Habit 45. Chewing raw tendon. Imagine a Mongol warrior pulling a strip of tendon from a leather pouch. It's tough, sinewy, glistening with a faint sheen. He bites into it, his teeth working hard, the texture rubbery and resistant, the taste faintly salty and gamey. The chewing is slow, deliberate, the sound a soft grind in the quiet camp. To us, raw tendon is inedible, a challenge to the jaw. But to the Mongols, it was a snack, a source of strength that kept them going on long rides. Tendons, dried or raw, were portable and durable, perfect for campaigns. Chewing them strengthened the jaw and provided protein, a small but vital fuel for the body. William of Rubruck, in the 1250s, described Mongols chewing tendons, noting their ability to eat what seemed unpalatable yet thrive. It was a habit of endurance, born of the steppe's scarcity. Habit 46. Drinking soured milk. Now, picture a Mongol herder, lifting a leather sack filled with erag, the fermented mare's milk. It's sour, slightly fizzy, its smell sharp and tangy, like yogurt left too long. He drinks deeply, the liquid cool and biting, coating his throat with its pungent flavor. To us, soured milk is spoiled, a reason to pour it out. But to the Mongols, it was a staple, a drink that sustained them through long journeys, its tang a taste of survival. Fermentation preserved the milk, making it portable and rich in nutrients. Its sourness was prized, a sign of the steppe's alchemy, turning milk into a warrior's fuel. Rashid al-Din, in the 14th century, described erag as a Mongol favorite, noting its role in their diet and rituals. It was not just drink but life, a gift from their herds. Imagine it, the sack in your hands, the milk's sharp scent, its taste sparking on your tongue. It's not spoiled, it's power, a taste of the steppe. To the Mongols, this was not odd, it was sustenance. Habit 47. Smearing mud for spiritual cleansing. Picture a Mongol shaman, kneeling by a muddy stream, scooping the wet earth into his hands. The mud is cool, gritty, its smell damp and mineral. He smears it across his face and arms, chanting softly, the texture clinging to his skin like a second layer. To us, this is filth, a step away from cleanliness. But to the Mongols, it was purification, a way to cleanse the spirit by embracing the earth's raw essence. Mud was sacred, a gift from the steppe, believed to ward off evil spirits and restore balance. The act was ritualistic, the mud's weight a connection to the land's power. John of Plano Carpini, in the 1240s, described such rituals, noting how Mongols used earth in place of water for spiritual cleansing. It was not dirt but divinity, a sacred act. Close your eyes. Feel the mud's cool grit on your skin, its scent grounding you, its weight a shield. It's not filth, it's faith, a bond with the earth. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was purity. Habit 48. Keeping filth as a talisman. Now, imagine a Mongol warrior, a small pouch tied to his belt. Inside, a clump of dirt, a scrap of unwashed fur, or a dried piece of dung, items caked with the steppe's essence. The pouch smells earthy, its contents rough to the touch, carried as a talisman for protection. To us, this is repulsive, a collection of refuse. But to the Mongols, it was sacred, a piece of the steppe that carried the spirit's favor, guarding against harm. These talismans were personal, each item chosen for its connection to the land or ancestors. The filth was not a flaw but a power, a reminder of their roots. Rashid al-Din, in the 14th century, noted Mongols carrying such items, describing them as spiritual safeguards. It was a practice of faith, tying the warrior to the eternal sky. Picture it, the pouch in your hand, its contents gritty, its scent raw and alive. It's not waste, it's power, a shield from the spirits. To the Mongols, this was not odd, it was protection. Habit 49. Eating raw liver fresh from the kill. Imagine a Mongol hunter, his knife still wet from a fresh kill. He cuts into the animal, a deer or sheep, and pulls out the liver warm and slick, its surface glistening red. He bites into it, the texture soft and yielding, the taste rich, metallic, and warm with life. To us, eating raw liver is shocking, a risk of disease. But to the Mongols, it was a prize, the animal's essence consumed fresh to honor its spirit and gain its strength. The liver, still pulsing with warmth, was a delicacy, eaten immediately after the kill to capture its vitality. The act was both practical and spiritual, a way to connect with the animal's soul. Marco Polo, in the 1270s, described Mongols eating raw organs with relish, noting their belief in their nourishing power. It was a ritual of respect, not savagery. Close your eyes. Feel the liver's warmth in your hands, its taste flooding your mouth, its scent sharp and alive. It's not grim, it's reverence, a gift from the kill. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was honor. Habit 50. Communal drinking from a single bowl. Now, picture the camp in celebration. A massive bowl carved from wood or bone passed among warriors and families. It's filled with arag or broth, its surface shimmering, its smell sour and rich. Each person drinks deeply, lips touching the same rim, the liquid warm and shared. To us, this is unhygienic, a risk of spreading illness. But to the Mongols, it was unity, a final act of togetherness that sealed their bonds under the eternal sky. The bowl, heavy and worn, was a symbol of community, its contents a shared life. Drinking together was a ritual, a toast to survival, victory, and the steppe itself. William of Rubruck, in the 1250s, described such feasts, noting how Mongols drank from one vessel, their closeness a strength. It was not just a meal but a vow, a shared heartbeat. Imagine it, the bowl in your hands, its rim smooth, the drink's tang binding you to others. It's not unclean, it's unity, a final feast. To the Mongols, this was not strange, it was love. And so, dear listener, we've walked the steppe, tasted its rawness, and felt the Mongols' unbreakable spirit. From urine to raw meat, their habits were not vile but vital, a testament to a people who thrived where others faltered. Close your eyes. Hear the wind, smell the fire, feel the steppe's pulse. Their legacy lives on, not in filth, but in strength, under the eternal sky.